I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have another amazing guest. You can currently see him at the Broadhurst Theatre in the hit show Catch the Jellicle Ball as DJ Griddlebone, but before that, he originated the roles of Macavity, Plato, and the Rumpus Cat in the original Broadway production of Cats. So I am thrilled to have you. Welcome, Ken Ard, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I love the mix here because we're going to get to talk about the origination of the storytelling and pieces of Cats from your time is Macavity and the Rumpus Cat and Plato. But then we also get to talk about this incredible new production where you are out there working as DJ Griddlebone. So yes. I want to start with the original Broadway. Let's start chronologically. So I usually ask people like, when did you first see Cats? But since you originated the role, I'm going to ask what was like, when you heard about this production and you're auditioning and you are about to, to get this role, like what was the vibe of how Cats was being perceived? Because it's a risky idea at this time without the unknown. We have the benefit of being able to look back knowing that it's been so successful and running forever. But at the time, what was it like joining this cast and creative of this bizarre, wild concept?
Well, they tried it in London on the West End, and it was a big hit. And they were bringing it to New York City. I had heard a cast album, and we didn't have CDs or MP3s or anything, so someone had a physical cast album from London, and I heard it, and I knew that I heard that the auditions were coming. I had just arrived in New York, and I thought, that show's for me. I was a gymnast, a singer and a dancer first. And I knew they were looking for dancers with other abilities. So I was very confident that I would get that show. And I knew it would be very popular because a lot of dance shows were happening back then, just because of the mystique of it. I didn't know it would be as monumental as it was, but I knew that it was going to be an amazing show to do, and I really wanted to do anything that was adventurous. I went to swing on trapeze or do gymnastics or slide across the floor on my knees, and I did all of those things, of which I have 2 new knees now. But yes, I knew it was going to be something special.
Yeah, because I mean, I knew that they did the West End first, but even then, it's still kind of this like a little bit of an unknown of how's it gonna work in New York and how's it gonna land. So take me back from what can you remember in the rehearsal room, because I'm fascinated by the storytelling and the story creation of these character arcs. And you all were in the beginning of this. So like, how did you develop, and let's start maybe with Plato's story. Like, how did you develop Macavity? Let's start with Macavity, because I think Plato's is a little bit difficult, but how did you develop Macavity's story?
Macavity is really a strange character. When I first got cast as Macavity, I remember there was a big tension from one of Ailey dancers, Hector Mercado, who were really dear. We became good colleagues and friends, but he felt that he should be doing Macavity. He was much bigger than I was, more of an established dancer in New York. He was an Ailey dancer. But Jillian Len saw something in me that she felt like, that's my Macavity. I think it was because I was a gymnast and was really crazy and wild and I didn't have the major technique that a Ailey company dancer had, but I had the wild abandonment that Macavity needed. And he was a mystery cat. The original company of Macavity, he doesn't have a number. He just shows up and causes havoc. He's like that crazy street cat that doesn't live in a house and just, you hear him at night, it's like crazy, tipping over garbage cans. And taking other people's women, you know, kinds of thing. So it was just basically a lot of mayhem. Macavity was developed through a lot of mayhem and fights. It was a street cat.
Was there like, there's so much lore to this show now, and like the family tree, and is Macavity Old Deuteronomy's son with brothers and Monkish Trap and Rum Tum Tugger? Were you all even talking about that stuff, or is this the stuff that just the fans back then? Yeah.
Oh, hell no. I mean, we did a lot of developmental stuff, but there was no kind of you're connected to this cat or anything. We were all individual cats that came together. Now, there were some people that were related, like I remember there were twins. There was Renee Ceballos, Renee Clemente, and Janet Hubert they played twins, and I'm not quite sure what their names were because there's so many.
Is it the Tantamile and Corcopat twins?
Yes, yes. And they were connected. There were the kittens. Necessarily, I can't remember all the names of people, but there were kittens and Syllabob and the White Cat, and all of those were like the younger kittens. I just don't remember like a family tree connection happening. That was something that was created with a dramaturg for this production.
Yeah. That to me is like one of my favorite parts, and why this podcast continues is I love knowing that when you all originate these roles, it's not even discussed. And it's like, there's arguments happening on the internet now from fans of like, no, they are sisters, or no, they're dating, or they're best friends. And you're just like, nope, we didn't think about it at all.
Well, maybe some people did. You know, I came to the show as a dancer. I'm not like a studied person. I didn't go to theater school and all that stuff. You know, maybe on my resume I said that I did. But you know, I don't have all that actor's training and background. The one good thing that I got to do when we got to rehearsal was my scene partner, while we were doing all the actors exercises and stuff like that, was Betty Buckley. And Betty Buckley is a real actress. So I got imbued with her energy before we got a script or music or anything, you know, that actors exercises where you mirror each other and do all those things. I got to work with Betty Buckley. And that's a memory that I will always hold, whether we created characters. I remember Trevor talking to us and giving us, you know, feedback and things, but I got to work with Betty Buckley. That was my inspiration for working. It's like, dig deep, and you're playing the mystery cat, one causes havoc, dig deep into that. And that was helpful for me.
How did you, being like, you're essentially playing three different characters throughout the show. Like, you have the Macavity that pops in, like you said, there's no song, but there's these moments and there's the fight. Yeah. What about with Plato? Because I think you start the show as Plato, right?
I start the show as Plato, yes.
And how did you craft, like, how did you jump around between these, like, different characters, personalities that you're supposed to be playing in those moments?
Plato was like a teenager. He was one of the boys and belonged to a group of, dancers. Bob Hoshauer was one of them. Renee Clemente was another one. We also shared a dressing room. He was just more of a dude, a teenager. He danced in the Tugger number with Terrence Mann. So he was kind of free and easy. So that was more my character as a person too. I was 21 years old when I was doing it, so I was very much Plato, hang with the guys and have fun, and that was kind of how I came up with that character, was just me.
And then for the Rumpus Cat, as a lot of people at least that are newer to the Cats fandom, or maybe you became a Cats fan from the Jellicle Ball, which is obviously bringing a lot of new Jellicle fans to the world, which we'll get to. They probably haven't seen the operatic section and the Rumpus Cat and that whole story because it's not been done in the more recent production. So what is your memory of like building out that section and having like this beautiful piece that's, a little bit history component at this point?
It was very special. I mean, there's a star trap in the floor of the original company, and Stephen Hannon was playing Buster Jones, and Gus and Growl Tiger played those three characters. Growl Tiger actually doesn't exist anymore because that was the tiger that came out on the ship with the Siamese cats. And he would tell a story about the peaks and the follicles and things like that. And then he would sing how I'm not quite sure how he transferred into being Gus, but it all happened within that scene, I believe, 45 years ago. So I'm trying to recall. But he sang about, playing the Rumpus Cat. And when he sings, I once played the Rumpus Cat, and they say, do it again, do it again. A whole scene happens where I shot up through the floor. Now, Michael Jackson did this years later, where he shoots up through the floor, but I did it first on Broadway in Cats, where I shot up through the floor and did this solo dance number with a helmet on, with cat eyes that lit up. And I could barely see, but it was a spectacular moment in the show and a surprise for the audience. And it was a star trap with weights. So weights would drop and throw me up through a floor that actually opened because my head hit it.
Oh, it was, wow. Okay, so you literally busted through the floor.
I busted through the floor with like a football helmet on with cat ears on it and eyes that lit up and things like that. But it was every night I busted through the floor and had to be perfectly still when I went up. If I leaned any way, I would hurt myself. So it was something that was spectacular and fun and dangerous and crazy, and I don't think they would do that anyway.
I was gonna say that doesn't feel like something they're testing out today without some other safety mechanisms in place.
No, it'd be another development.
Yeah. Did that work every single time? Like, did you ever have
every single time? I never had an issue.
Never had an issue. Wow, no. I'm impressed. I hear all these stories about Grizabella not getting up to the heaviside layer. Things will happen, and I'm just imagining one wrong weight or your helmet's shifted a little to the side. Right, that's incredible. Right.
Cats was my first big knee injury. I mean, I had one in high school, but Cats was my first big knee injury. And it didn't happen with me dancing or flipping or anything. I was just standing still in the Rum Tum Tugger number where he's doing his thing at the end. And I just heard my knee go, pow!
Wow.
And I was like, oh, what was that? And I didn't until after the show. And I was like, there's something up with my knee. But
that's such a performer that you finish the whole show. And that's early in the show. Like, you're only a little ways in. You finish the whole show before you're like, oh, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Wow. Before we transition to the Jellicle Ball, I know it's been, you said, it's been 40 plus years. What are some of those memories from that original run that you'll just never forget? Whether they're funny stories, audience reactions, like you were at the forefront of Cats on Broadway. Like, what are those things that are just stuck in your brain?
Cats was my third Broadway show, but my first hit show. And it was a hard show. I mean, the show that we're doing now is very difficult in that these dancers are breaking their necks every night. But we had to do it in unison, this like individual dancing where they can go, oh, I don't feel like doing that move tonight. And nobody's going to know it because it's like there's so much individual dance going on. In Cats, the original company, we had to dance a lot as a unit. And that was very difficult. I remember just being exhausted after every show, but thrilled that I was doing one of the biggest hit shows on Broadway. It's hard. It's all a mash. I just remember meeting a lot of celebrities. That was really fun. I wish back then that we had social media or our phones that took pictures. But it just, you meet somebody and it goes by. Right now, after the show, I have an autograph book. So when people come to the show, I just have them sign my book. They can write something or just their name. So I remember, wow, I met that person. But I don't have any anecdotes or stories. We had a great time. There were lots of personalities in the show. Just, I can't tell you any funny stories or anything like that. It was just a brilliant time.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died. I love the transition, though, of between the two shows. Like, because I love that you're saying, like, I wish I had a cell phone camera that you have now. Like, now everyone has them everywhere. Because you probably met, this was the hit show. Like, you probably met everybody who's anybody.
I remember meeting Diana Ross. I remember meeting Cary Grant. I remember meeting, what's her name from Dynasty, Joan Collins, Elizabeth Taylor. All of those people came to see the show.
Yeah.
Because it was the show to see.
Yeah.
And it would just be so great. And, now we have photographers that show up to every show.
Yeah.
And take pictures every night. And we have our cell phones. We can take selfies. And, it's impossible to forget who's been there.
Yeah.
It's posted immediately the next, that evening.
Completely. I've loved, because you also have a component in the judge. So we're going to pivot to the Jellicle Ball now. And you've got a component of like a celebrity guest judge or a guest judge.
Yes.
That's every night. And the first couple of times, like, now you're talking about immediate, like Sydney films the guest judges at the end of his song and is like there.
And post it during intermission.
So it is truly immediate. And you've had some incredible celebrities already come through. And you're going from 1980s hit cats to 2026 hit cats, because this is be a hit show with incredible reviews. And I had no doubt having seen it at the PAC. So I want to start actually with the Downtown PAC production. So did you have any what was your knowledge and involvement or opportunity to even see it at downtown when it was at the Proman?
Well, I wasn't even living in New York at the time. I have an apartment here that me and my partner, me and my husband sublet. And we were in San Francisco. He was working on an opera there, and we heard about cats. And we come into the city occasionally, to New York. And, after the 2016 production and the 2019 movie, I was like, what the hell are they going to do with cats? And then I heard they were going to do it in a Harlem kind of ballroom setting. And I saw some pictures of it, and I crossed my arms and I sucked my teeth, and I thought, does everything have to be so gay? And then I went and saw it, and I thought, yes, it does.
Yeah.
There were many reasons why it worked for me, why it infected me, but the main reason was that they took it and actually made it make sense in a new era. Mm-hmm. And that it was down at the World Trade Center where I had been I lived down there prior to 9/11 and had been basically blown out of my apartment because I lived right across the street. And I hadn't been down there since. So going to see cats, it was cathartic to me in so many reasons. First of all, it just moved me so much. And it was like I said, it was my first time down there since 9/11. It gave me a new memory to put in place of what I was holding there. Mm-hmm. And I left that theater. I bawled throughout the whole show because oh my God, this is incredible. I don't believe that they made this show work for this new era. And I just left there overwhelmed with joy. And I went back to see it again. And I saw it 3 times. I was a judge twice. And nice. Then I went to see it last time. And then kind of left there going, they made cats work. It was brilliant. And I thought, this is definitely going to Broadway. I didn't think that anything else about it is wow, it's going to Broadway. 2 years later, the person who played Macavity, Antoine Hopper, wrote me and said, I'm not doing cats. I think he had gotten a television show. And he said, you should throw your hat in the ring. And I thought, why not? Before I got out of bed that morning because it was a text he sent me, before I got out of bed, I wrote to Angela Weber because we had just reconnected in London. I wrote to Bill Rausch, and I wrote to Mike Bosner. I got a letter back from Bill Rausch saying, we're going to kick this idea around and send us some material. So I've been singing and teaching dance, and so I sent them some stuff from my dance class. I sent them some stuff of me singing in a nightclub, and they called me in for an audition. And I flew to New York to audition, and I knew if I'm flying to New York to audition for this in person, they're taking me seriously.
Yeah.
And they did. And I had one of my best auditions in my life for this show. And leaving that audition, I knew they're going to hire me.
Yeah.
And I actually went home and started getting myself together to come back to New York. And I had to wait. Yeah, I had to wait, but I knew that I felt it, that this was my gig.
Yeah. I mean, and it's, I'm glad you got to see it multiple times. And I love hearing the like, having like the Perlman Performing Arts Center is just a gorgeous building down there.
Yeah.
It's relatively new, and they've done such a good job with the programming, what they're doing, but it is right next to the fountains. And so it's like you are right there at the, you know, the heart of everything from the World Trade Center. So it is, for me too, like I've only had been down there before living here for the tours and the museum, and to go back to I also went 3 times to kind of go back in for this fun and energetic and joyous reason is, like you said, a great memory to have to bring to that area. Yeah. When you auditioned and everything, had they talked about the idea of amplifying this DJ Griddlebone character? Because the DJ DJ'd more in the pack performance, right? And you're doing a lot more dancing, and you walk in the runway, and like you are like, it's a much enhanced storyline for DJ Griddlebone. So how much of that was shared with you, and how much of that did you help them kind of like build out?
None of it was shared with me because I had no idea what I was auditioning for. I had reached out because I knew Macavity was available, and the guy who played Macavity. And had they been doing the original production, I would never say, "Oh, I want to do Macavity," because it's too strenuous to do that. Yeah. Even though Macavity doesn't have a song or anything, he comes out and he's crazy. But for this production, I thought I can do that. It's all about fashion and attitude, and I can handle that. And they did not tell me that they were considering me for DJ until after my audition. I actually sang so much material. I sang Gus, I sang for Deuteronomy, and I sang for Jenny Any Dots.
Wow.
And they were like, well, we want to consider you also to be an understudy for some roles. And literally at the time, I was like, I'll do anything. I would have done anything to be a part of this production. So just bring it on. It was after that they discussed DJ Griddlebone, and I was confused as like, because he wasn't DJ Griddlebone, he was just DJ in downtown production. And so I was confused. I thought, well, he doesn't do anything except for blow the glitter off of the album and then disappears. I didn't see him again. My partner kind of remembers him looking up at the DJ booth, but I never looked up at the DJ booth after he disappeared. I realized, there's somebody up there, but they were in a closed little closet that you couldn't see from my memory. So when they discussed it, I thought, well, he doesn't do very much. And I was very disappointed. In the rehearsal studio, they set up this little corner for me, and literally throughout the whole process, I sat in that corner watching them rehearse the show and thought, I'm not. Is anybody? No, hey, Ken over here.
Yeah.
And we got to the theater, and that's when I started with the team, started to build my show, because there is, my thing is, if it's not on the page, it's not on the stage. If there's nothing in the script, where does it exist? And we basically created it there in the theater. I knew I was doing some dancing in the Jellicle Ball. I knew I was going to do executive realness. And that was it. But now I feel like a fully formed character up there in my DJ box. And I feel like I have acting beats and I'm emoting, and it's a beautiful thing that I get to do every night in this iteration of the show.
Yeah, it's interesting, hearing you say that, because I had almost the reverse reaction when I saw that you were cast as the DJ, as DJ Griddlebone. I had my first preview tickets the minute they announced it, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to see how they build your character out, because I was like, they're not going to just leave you up there the whole time. Like, you're going to be down there dancing and adding to this character and this story. And you do have, because I've now seen the show 3 times, and the way that, like, I've sat in the orchestra, I've sat in the mezzanine. I love how you all have crafted this story to have stuff happening all around you at all times.
Yeah.
And your character is very, like, you interact with the people in the box next to you. I love that you're filming I don't think I'm spoiling too much, but you're filming the, like, police scene. Like, you are, like, in the show a whole lot, and they get to utilize your, incredible dance experience in multiple parts of the show. So I think it was such a beautiful addition to bring more to that character and have it be a part of the storytelling. More so than I think it was downtown, but also a little bit of the flip of it. I'm curious, as you, like, this show is so different in a way, in so many ways, and still also exactly the same. But one major difference is Macavity, because Macavity goes from being this, like, villainous character to being a part of the tribe and part of the scene. And that is, like, I love the way that this story is being told now, but it is different. So as someone who played Macavity and is now in this production, like, how has that been, like, just even seeing that kind of tweaks to the storytelling?
I think it's incredible. And when I saw it downtown, I thought, wow, how are they going to work Macavity out? And I thought it was brilliant. But what they've done on Broadway is they've really honed it with Leomi. She's charming, funny, sweet. She's not evil. She's sassy. And, she's basically a booster, which does happen in the ballroom community, where people go out and they steal garments for a big ball. It's one of those things that was actually highlighted on Pose, the show. And I'm not a ballroom aficionado, so I can't speak too much about it, but they've created this part where Macavity is, like, is a thief, and basically steals great fashion for her tribe and enters the ball. The way Naomi plays it is brilliant. And the relationship with her and Deuteronomy and the other cast it really works. I really love it.
Yeah.
And I love the Macavity number, because I sit up there with, like, a martini glass and just watch over it,
Yeah. It's one of my favorite songs of the show. And
mine too.
I do love the way, like you said, Leomi's she's fun and funny, and so it has the, like, there's some law-breaking story piece to it, but still not the, like, scary villainous Macavity.
Correct.
So you mentioned that you have less experience in the ballroom, and I think one of the beautiful parts of the show is infusing the way they've cast it to have theater and ballroom and all the different kind of, like, parts of this to come together. So what has it been like for you working with the Junior LaBeijas of the world, the Leomis of the world, like, these incredible ballroom icons and legends, and then as well as the Andre de Shields and and you and all these people, like, these incredible theater, like, how has infusing those two together been for you coming into this Broadway production?
Well, it kind of works organically, because people from the ballroom have been so put on the outline of commercial entertainment that they've created their own culture. And there's some incredible talent as far as art and design, dance that comes from that era that is now being promoted on Broadway in commercial theater. through the people who have created it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we're gentrifying or taking it from someone. We're actually bringing them on and saying, here, now you're featured on the spot in the center of a Broadway stage. So it really does work kind of seamlessly. I mean, Junior LaBeija, Gus, that number is one of the most touching numbers in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Watching him come out, he's such a showman and an actor. You would think he'd been doing this all his life.
Yeah.
And he'll tell you that, you know, after this, I'm going back to downtown or uptown and doing my thing. But I think he has like a career as an older actor, as an older character actor. I do believe that he can, you know, go further with it because he's really incredible in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Working with Andre, I've been his cover once in a show before, in a show called Halftime. That was at the Paper Mill Playhouse. And it's like watching a master class in longevity, how to take care of yourself as an actor, how to show up and be professional. He's the perfect example of that.
Mm-hmm. So I've obviously been a massive fan of this production and the way it's told as a story. But there are some traditional Cats fans that were skeptics of the idea in general. And so So someone who was one of them, but also has been in both and has experienced both, what would you say to that Cats fan on why they should give this one a chance?
Because it is Cats. It's still Cats. If you come in and you close your eyes and you're not looking at what's happening on stage, you are still hearing Cats with some added beats and effects and crazy audience reactions, but you're still hearing Cats, the libretto and the music, the genius that is Andrew Lloyd Webber and the genius that is T.S. Eliot's Book of Poems. You're still getting that from this show. What you're also getting is a new iteration of how Cats can transform. This is I see a lot of Broadway shows. I see a lot of revivals, and I've never experienced anything like this. I equate it to like taking a Shakespeare play, which people have done, and basically taking those words and putting it in a new setting, a new city, a new place where they put people in business suits and they're doing Shakespeare. It's kind of that times 100. Mm-hmm. You've taken Cats and you've given it a new setting. You've turned the Cats into people, and you've created a connection with the characters that did not exist before. I think they should give it a shot because this, like I said, this ain't your grandma's Cats, but it's a Cats for a new era.
Yeah. And what would you say to the Cats hater? For the person that has always hated the musical Cats, because there are plenty out there. I don't actually agree with most of them because they don't have a real reason.
They don't have a real reason.
Yeah.
No.
But what would you say to them on why they should give, again, this a try?
If somebody hates Cats, I wouldn't try to convince them to love it. This is just they're haters.
Yeah. That's true.
But they should give it a try because if you didn't like Cats before, that we put new mayonnaise and a new piece of bread on it. So come and taste this sandwich because it's a lot better.
Yeah. I think it's the clearer story. It's a much clearer story, and that's a big part of a lot of the Cats hate is not getting it. You know, just the quote, right. Oh, I didn't get it. And this is, you know, if you don't follow what's happening in this, then I have other questions for you.
Right.
What has been some of your favorite moments in this particular production that are maybe, that are different from the Cats? Like, are there any standout scenes or things, without spoiling too much for someone who hasn't seen it, that you just love?
Skimbleshanks.
Emma
is one of my favorite changes of the show. I was like, how? Because in the original, in Skimbleshanks, they actually built a train on stage. I'm like, how are they going to do that? Because I thought that was so spectacular. But it's incredible what they've done with it. I love, again, Macavity is one of my favorite numbers, just the song itself. But the way BB and Garnett do it is incredible. The styling of the show, and then Naomi coming out. It's so amazing when, without giving it away, just when she comes out, there's no big dance number. The curtain opens and there's Naomi in that costume, and the audience goes wild. And just her walk down stage is brilliant. I also love Monkus Trap, who is basically the narrator of the show. Or he keeps the ball in the air, the ball. He keeps the ball in the air. He keeps it going. I love his the way he works through the show. And Tugger is incredible. Terrence Mann was after. I've seen many Tuggers after Terrence Mann, and I just thought nobody will ever be as sexy and funny and brilliant as Terrence Mann. And you have Sidney James Harcourt, who is all of those things and brilliantly does it. I can't pick one. It's just the show itself is brilliant.
Yeah, I love every piece of it. I've been back. I'm probably coming back next week. I will come back anytime any friend wants to go see it. It's just so fun. And there's a lot of theater that, these days, and the classical theater where I walk out and I'm like, that was beautiful and well done, but man, I need a drink, or I need something like that was heavy. And I walk out of Cats like not able to fall asleep because I just have so much energy. And you walk out with more energy than you walk in, and that's I love, I was worried from the downtown that you would lose some of the energy in the Broadway stage or with the proscenium kind of view. And I went to the first preview, which was obviously massively energetic, but then I went on just a Thursday night preview with my mom was visiting, and I wanted to bring her, and it was the same level of energy, the fans clacking and everything. So it is a joyous time from start to finish, which I love.
It really is. It really is.
As someone who hasn't obviously done as much in the ballroom scene, have they tried to recruit you for a house? Are you getting recruited to join a house?
Well, people keep asking me, do you belong to a house? And I remember before, when we started rehearsals, there was a ball that was happening, and they invited us all to come. And I had never been to a ball ever in my life. So me and my husband went to this ball. I got all dressed up to go. And I was so impressed with what happens at a ball. And it really is down low. It's in some club. It's like a cement floor. And they put, these barriers out to keep people out of the center so they can have a runway. And they called Virgin Runway or something. And I thought, I've never been to a ball. So I went and walked the Virgin Runway and got down to the last two and didn't get it for obvious reasons, because first one, I was a professional and I was dressed and the girl who got it, I thought, if I had won, I would have given my whatever prize to her anyway.
Yeah.
But I just thought, this is incredible because there's no judgment. Anybody can walk. And there were lots of people that got up that knew they weren't going to win, but they're accepted into it and able to strut their stuff. And I just thought, that's incredible. This can't happen anyplace else. You're judged every place. You go to an audition and you're judged. You go here, you're judged, and you don't get a shot at it. But everybody gets a shot at the ball. If you want to walk, you can walk. So I really enjoy that aspect of it. But yes, as far as joining a house, I can't imagine when I would ever have time to do that during a Broadway show. And, at 65 years old, if I had to walk a ball or set up for that, once a month, I just thought that's a lot of work. And I commend those people that do that. And because they're artists, they are artists that show up and create and do that, as their life's goal.
Yeah. The piece that you mentioned that I think is why it works so well with Cats, the ballroom scene works so well with Cats, is it's a community, a open community that accepts all of their members.
Yeah.
Even though there's some a little cattiness and fighting and stuff. Like there's those moments that like it's family, but it is so similar. And then you have the Jellicle Ball as the name's right in there. So I just thought it was such a brilliant idea. And then seeing it live on stage, and the more I've learned as someone who knew very little besides Paris is Burning about Ballroom before the downtown production, the more I've learned about it, the more I'm like, how has nobody done this before? How did it take so long for this to happen?
Right. It just, I guess it was just the seed of an idea from Bill Rausch that he then brought to Jamin Livingston, and then they took it to, they have plenty of consultants, Omari and Arturo, and it took a team. This show took a village to do.
Yeah. And it's such an important message and time to have this on Broadway too, to have it.
Truly is.
So I'm thrilled that it's there, it's succeeding, and it's being embraced, by fans, critics, and everybody in between.
Yeah, there was someone who sat next to my DJ box last night. Two people who, this is why I do theater. They loved it so much. They cried so much. They were happy. They were jumping down. It was kind of making me like tear up, going, oh my God, that's how I felt when I saw the show.
Yeah.
And it really is the reason why I do theater. Of course, it's great to get paid and all of that stuff, but to get that feedback from the audience and the love and the adoration of someone being moved and being, taken into another world and leaving better and higher than when they came in is why theater exists.
Yeah. We haven't talked about Grizabella and Temperance, and just the fact that there's a leading lady as a trans woman and is being the pinnacle of the show. So, you mentioned working with Betty, and I love that Betty Buckley's embraced, like she's done a lot of stuff recently of embracing this production as well, and said amazing things on the gold carpet. And but what is it like working with Temperance, who's also like a legend and icon in the ballroom community?
Oh wow, she's one of the most lovely people that I've met on this production. She's so sweet and kind, and is such a talented performer. It's been amazing, just watching her and getting to know her. I so look forward to going to the theater every day and seeing these people. It's like a love fest there. It really is. Mm-hmm. It's very supportive, and I've never worked in a show where there's so much talking. I mean, we have these meetings once a week where we check in. There's sensitivity coaches and stuff like that. And it's totally necessary, because there's so many different personalities and feelings and vibes. We have the largest trans cast that I think has ever been in a Broadway show. Mm-hmm. Definitely the largest gay and queer cast that has ever. I mean, Broadway is so gay. Yeah, if you can imagine. I mean, I've been in shows where, but they don't promote it. Yeah. In a way. Or embrace it in the way that we're doing here at the Jellicle Ball. It is just, there's one straight guy in the show. One total straight guy in this huge cast. Our stagehands and all of them but I was talking about the on-stage cast. Mm-hmm. There's one straight guy in the cast, and he plays the police officer. Yeah, okay. And is the booth singer. But other than that, it's an amazing thing. And Temperance is really kind of a house mother, in the show, and just beautiful person. And it's so apropos that we have this, that we get to embrace and promote without preaching. Mm-hmm. It's just about joy and love and happiness, and there's no preaching to anybody, but anybody that comes to see the show, they're just going, oh, wow, these are regular people spreading joy. Yeah. And that's basically what it is.
Yeah. It's fun. So if we'll link everything too on how to go get tickets. But if you have not seen it yet, you've got to go. You got to find your way to see it.
You have to see it. It's one of those things that if you miss it, you've missed a cultural moment in time.
Completely. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died. Okay, let's do some cats rapid fire. So you can go with either the cats from the 80s, or you can go with the Jellicle Ball. You can give me answers from either way. But if you could go on one night to perform as any cat in the show, male, female, whether it's in your vocal range, dance numbers, or whatever, who do you want to perform as for one night?
For one night?
Yep.
I want to do BB and Macavity. I want to sing Macavity.
Okay, so you want to be Demeter then?
Demeter, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
For one night.
For just one night only. Who are your favorite and least favorite cats from a personality standpoint? So, like, which one would you want to hang out with, and which one would bug you to hang out with?
I want to hang out with Tugger.
Okay.
Personality wise, I wouldn't want to hang out with what's Emma's first character? The crazy Cassandra. I would not want to hang out with Cassandra because she's too out there and wild and aggressive, and
It is a beautiful, chaotic energy. That's a little like her performance of that. It's so fun to watch throughout the moments when she's not on stage, because she's like freaking out all throughout the theater, and it's really she plays it so well.
Yes, she does.
What is your favorite song in the show? Macavity. Same. And then if you could be in one of the houses in the show, so House of Dots, House of Glamour, House of Macavity, which house would you want to be in?
House of
Macavity. Okay. This podcast centers around my belief that Grizabella is not the right Jellicle choice in the the 80s cats. I think it's a little harder to argue this version because of the heaviside layer being very different. But who is your Jellicle choice and why?
Well, selfishly, it would be DJ Griddlebone. That's, just my ego. But realistically, it would be Temperance as Grizabella, because watching her transformation in the original, Betty doesn't transform. She's Grizabella, and she's that hurt, wounded cat that goes up to the heaviside layer. Watching the transformation of Temperance, I believe she deserves to go up.
Well, I'm going to put your vote down as DJ Griddlebone, so I have a non-Grizabella vote. It's so interesting, because I do think like I joked with Bill and Jalen after I saw the first production, being like, y'all kind of ruined my show, because my argument was always that I thought I didn't really like the premise of Grizabella being reaccepted into the family and then immediately killed, like immediately sent off to her death. Right. And this version does not feel that way. It feels like she's going back to the ball, like she's being brought back in, which is a totally different heaviside layer to me. And I attempted to tell Betty that on the gold carpet, that like why I did it. She immediately disagreed with me, and is very, very pro Grizabella going. But that was kind of my argument. I think that's kind of the beauty again of the reimagination here, is the story, like it's telling the same story but with a tweak of the heaviside layer being going, she comes out, I don't want to get spoiled too much, but she comes out in her dress and like looks ready to go, very much so, than the Grizabella who's just finished singing Memory and is still being reaccepted. So I love the beauty of it, and again I hope everyone in the world gets a chance to go see it, because it's so well done. And I just feel like any new iteration of Cats should be the Jellicle Ball. Yeah, from here on out, it's just this version. So I hope it'll tour. I hope it'll get regionally done. Like I hope that this is the beginning of this particular version being exposed to more people, because I think it's important for the world to again see this version at this moment in time and point in time.
I agree, and so many people that are coming to the theater are now getting to see themselves. That's what I felt last night with the people sitting next to me when they were bawling. That's what I felt when I saw it. Like I'm seeing myself on stage, and that's rare. Yeah, when you get to see and be inspired by performers who are like you.
Yeah. And hopefully inspires them to create the next generation of performers.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this has been so fun to talk about the original creation of Cats and then this obviously new iteration. We'll link everything for the Jellicle Ball stuff, but how can people stay in touch with you?
Through Instagram, the Kenneth Ard at Instagram. I think that's how they do it. That's the best way. Yeah.
We'll link it too. These will be all these new celebrity photos you're getting with all the people coming through. You'll be sharing, I'm sure, on there.
I shall be sharing, but don't look to see them the night of or even the week of. Though maybe a few weeks later. I'm not a instant Instagram sharer. So and everybody keeps telling me I need to get TikTok because I'm blowing up because people are posting a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have TikTok, but I will download it and get it and start being more active. But at the same time, I actually have a life that's not in social media.
A life and a job and work, all kinds of stuff and prepping for other things like this and other ways that this show's being promoted and hopefully prepping for Tony Awards and Tony performances and all that stuff too.
Yes.
Wow. Well, thank you again. This has been so fun and I hope everyone goes to see the show.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks everyone.
Have a great day.
And thanks everyone else for listening to this episode of The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or NS Podcasts. Follow us on social media at The Wrong Cat Died or check our website, thewrongcatdied.com.